Scrap Junkies, welcome back to the channel. So I think this week has been the single best week of my copper acquiring career. I mean, the copper gods are making it rain, literally, on me, which I'm not complaining. Usually it does not come in like this. So I just cashed in my bars, literally just cashed them in. And look what we're sitting on already. You know, this was in a parking lot. In a shopping cart, someone just, it was a ceiling fan. And I knew what was in the ceiling fan. We got some motors, AC compressor. I've never cracked one of these open. I kind of want to do it. It'll be fun. More copper pipe, couple more motors. And this is bare bright once I strip it. More wire here. But check, this, oh yeah, we got the AC condenser coils. And voila. A big bin of pipe. Yes. Bunch of ball valves. This is all like 1.25 inches. There's some like brass fittings. So we got a bit of cleaning to do. And we got some lead. Still got the lead. Yeah. But we got some metal to make some more bars. Let's do it. When it comes to wire, I think it's definitely worth having one of these stripping machines for a drill. And I think it's worth having the forge, because I was able to, not with this, obviously, this is bare bright. This is worth the most, as is. But regular house wire, I was able to double its price. So that's why I don't really mind. I mix in some house wire with bare bright, melt it down as one. Give and take a little bit. So you got to be careful with these motors. There's this smaller motor, you can see, was all copper. But this bigger motor, you see that? Sneaky. Some of the windings are copper and some of the windings are aluminum. So it looks like the bigger windings are copper, and then they have a smaller set of aluminum windings. Not sure why they do that, but yeah, these motors are, I mean, they make you work for it. Alright, so I just gave the compressor a quick haircut with the grinder and got the copper motor out. Nice! It's actually a lot bigger than I thought it was. So, I have a refrigerator sitting at work that also has a compressor. As I would say, a little bit of copper, but the copper on air conditioners and refrigerators is like paper thin. So, the motor, on the other hand, could be good. So I'm gonna just strip off all of this copper, and I want to weigh it and see how much just copper was in that compressor, and then I can kind of gauge, you know, if I get a refrigerator or something, is it really worth your time and effort to rip out the compressor and fight? Because motors don't give up that copper easy. You gotta fight for it. Alright, so this is no longer a woodworking shop. It's gonna be my little scrapper shop for now. You know, eventually I'm gonna lose this space, but I still have it for another year, so I'm gonna continue to use it for another year. But yeah, anyways, we got all of the electrical motors, wires, all of it stripped down, ready to go. I try to separate motor windings because they get everywhere. This, I still gotta go through this bin a little bit, but we're gonna sort through this mess. So there's brass valves with steel handles on them. We gotta get all those handles off and then separate out. I just want to at least separate number 1 from number 2. Just be easier for the melting process. So I know when I need to really pay attention and slag things out versus the clean stuff. You just melt it and pour it. Easy peasy. So that's what we're gonna do right now. All right, we're all sorted up. So with, let's take out the number 2. We have roughly, we gotta subtract 4.8 pounds for the bin. So we have 60 something pounds. Now we'll add in the number 2. Roughly, I don't know, 78 pounds, maybe a little bit less, of copper. So when it comes to brass, lead, and like AC coils and stuff like that, I'm gonna just leave them in this bin, and when I acquire enough and it's worth a trip to the scrapyard, then I'm just gonna bring that stuff like that. I'm not melting brass anymore. No more. It's really not worth it, I don't think. You know, it's just, and plus, once you melt down brass, it takes up valuable space that I'd rather use for copper. And plus, if I'm gonna get the cops called on me for this forge, it's gonna be when I melt brass. Cause I've been out there and I notice there's a couple old guys that every time they hear the forge fire up, they come flying up to the window. You know, it's like a senior living place next door. But there's these two guys. It's like clockwork. Every time I fire that thing up, they're just, boom, they're at the window and they're sitting there watching me the whole time. So I like to put on a show for the old guys, you know. It's gotta be pretty boring sitting in there, but when I do the brass, it gets smoky and it stinks, and I can hear windows slamming shut. So definitely, yeah, I'm just not gonna bother with it. But I was doing the math, just kind of messing around. This whole bin was considered number 2 a minute ago before I sorted it. So if I went and just cashed that in as is and didn't sort it, I would get a certain price, right? Now that I cleaned it, I should get 30 cents roughly more per pound. So I actually kind of did the math, and that actually, the difference there equals a tank of gas. So by sorting it, I'm pretty much getting the tank of gas for free, kind of. Sort of, kind of. But yeah, you're not gonna get number 1 for this. You know, little copper windings from motors. They're not gonna give you number 1 for that, but they're gonna give me that for that, because I'm gonna make it a bar. And then all this number 2 is gonna become number 1. Little fluxing, and we'll slag it, take all the crap out, and make some nice bars. So I actually don't have any gas right now, and I just ordered a graphite ingot mold, because these cast iron ones, I don't know. See, they get real crunchy inside very, very quickly. And I'll spray these with graphite lube, but they make actual solid graphite molds. So I got a 200 ouncer on the way. It's 7 by 4 by 2. It was quite expensive too. It was 140 bucks. And it doesn't have a handle on it, which is kind of a bummer, but yeah, as soon as the mold gets here, I'll pick up some gas very shortly, and we'll fire her up. We will awake the beast, the Devil Forge. See you then. All right, so I went for the refrigerator at work. I mean, we had to take it out anyway. It's in the way. So I threw it in the truck, and I took out the compressor, and it's a normal size, just a normal size refrigerator. And there was a decent sized motor in there and a bunch of copper lines. You know, I would say maybe 4 or 5 pounds, maybe, of copper. And it did take me a little digging. See, with compressors, it's give and take with compressor motors, because a regular electrical motor, you're gonna be fighting. You know, as soon as you put the motor in the vise and you cut off that little muffin at the top, and then and then you flip it over and you're trying to pull all the windings out. With a regular electric motor, it's really, really tough after you cut the muffin off. But with an air compressor, or a compressor for AC, they're oil filled, so everything is nice and like lubed up. So after you cut that muffin off, the other stuff just slides right out. No fight, but then you're stuck with some oil. So I'm just gonna keep an oil container for changing oil in the van, and I'm just gonna dump it in there. When it gets full, I'll just bring it to AutoZone or something. They always take it. But seeing that I'm going to the scrapyard anyway, I'm gonna turn in everything that I don't want. So I actually went and melted down some of the lead into this little button. Got it as clean as I could. And I'm gonna save this and get rid of the rest, because we have a bunch of clean sterling silver right here, which we're gonna melt that. And then I have a little bit of 14 karat and 10 karat gold jewelry, which I would like to try to melt this down and purify it to 24 karat gold and have a little pure, 24 karat gold button. You know what I mean? I just want to try it. I've always wanted to try doing that, so I have some cupels on the way. So we're gonna do that soon. Very, very soon. So I just went and saw my good buddies over at Matuccio Scrapyard. And apparently, my new nickname is Mr. Melter. Which I guess you could definitely have worse nicknames. So, I had that little tiny bit of brass, that little tiny bit of lead, and 2 AC condenser coils. I wasn't expecting much. 50 Canadian pesos. That's pretty good. So, this essentially just paid for 2 tanks of gas and breakfast. Score! Well, look what arrived. That is sick. Come on now. A graphite ingot mold. Fingers turn black. But that is a cool size. So I shouldn't have to use any release agent like graphite spray, because it is graphite. It doesn't have a handle on it, like these old cast iron ones. But it should make some nice clean bars. And also, we've got a little crucible for melting down gold and silver, which I need to temper this. I need to heat it up, and I'm gonna season it with a little borax, which I'm gonna do now. And we have these little guys, cupels, for refining gold and silver, which, video coming soon, but we need to, this guy's gotta be tempered, cooled down, all that good stuff. But we are gonna go make some bars. Let's awake the beast, shall we? So you can definitely see the advantage of melting copper down. Because we had a huge bin, all full of pipe. We had a 5-gallon bucket that was probably a third full-ish of number 2 copper pieces of pipe. And then we had another small bucket of copper windings from motors. And now all of that is right here on my desk in front of me. Nice and small. So that is the most copper I have ever put through the Devil Forge in one run. The Devil Forge was running for at least 2 hours straight today. It got so hot that it actually started burrowing into the driveway. I look over at the forge and I notice it's starting to lean. And I'm like, uh-oh. I go over and look and one foot is completely sunk. I had to like shut it off, pick it up a little bit and move it. And there was a big hole in the driveway. But, you know, the asphalt was squishy enough that I could kind of push it back in place. And then it just hardened and I'm like, okay. Oops. I mean, usually I'm using the forge for like 45 minutes at the most. But 2 hours. So we went through an entire tank of gas. One entire tank. And a little out of the second one. But not much. And we got 15 bars. I mean, exactly. It wasn't even like a halfie left. 15 full-size new ingot mold bars. And of course, I weighed them. We have 78.5 pounds. So each bar, roughly speaking, weighs about 5.25-ish pounds a piece. And this was the first bar that came out of that new graphite mold, and it looks ooh so beautiful. And I think it depends on the copper, like if it's wire versus pipe. Because I don't know. I think pipe usually looks like this when you melt it. I don't know why. And then wire usually comes out a bit cleaner, but some of these are mixed. Pipe and wire. See, this one was probably mostly wire. It's pretty smooth. And, oh yeah. This one is motor windings. This is electrical motor windings. 100%. And I can tell from the back, and you can see like a reddish tint. Yeah, but you get all different kinds of... I got a lot of slag out of these guys. A lot of slag. But yeah, that graphite ingot mold is quite nice. You just turn it and it just falls right out. You don't have to bang it, you don't have to tap it, you don't have to even blow on it. It just comes out. It's nice. It's really nice. And I'm kind of digging this shape. I don't know, I kind of like it. It's cool. This is drugs for some people. See? Is it doing it for you? Yeah? No? Okay. Well, anyways. Make sure you subscribe. Give me a thumbs up. See you later.